Yes, a pleasant good night to each and every one of you. As I have the opportunity tonight to spend with you another 10 or 20 minutes to tell you the truth about the past history of our country. And you could ask me any question. I would like to debate Mr. David Granger, Mr. Ramatar, an old seasoned politician who was with the PPP from a very young age, dedicated servant of the PPP. Now that he had the opportunity to become the president, and I know that it's a hard job because under the PNC regime, Burnham destroyed it. I tried to resolve it back and bring it, but due to his nonsense with slow fire, more fire, lose the dogs of war, he was out. And we have to give him credit for a fair and free election. And make it be known to you, the PNC have never, according to my knowledge and his history, had never won an election in Guyana. It was a coalition government put them in power. During the late 60s, Dr. Jagan had 22 seats and Burnham had 18 PNC, which PPP 22, PNC 18, and the United Force 7. Mr. Digar at the time was the United Force leader, went to Dr. Jagan to unite with him in a coalition government, and Jagan rejected him and said he don't need an imperialist servant or slave, and that is understandable because he was communist, backed by the communist government of Russia, the Soviet Union. And then he crossed with Burnham and he joined. And to be honest, let it be known to our Indian brothers and sisters who are talking this racial talk that the Portuguese put the black man in power. We did not see Coolie, Indian man, or black man, or Chinese man, or Portuguese man. We see Guyanese. When Digar united and joined there, let it be known to you that there were more East Indian in his party than anything else. And there were 7 or 6 Indian Hindus crossed the floor and formed the government. So get your matter straight. They were all Hindus. I think one was Muslim. And Digar had problem with Burnham over the spending power of the country after they united to form the government, and that was successful in that area. Over a little place by the East Coast Road they call Conversation, where the Conversation Tree is, with Mr. Mohammed Qasim, if my memory serves me right. There is where there is where Burnham and Mr. Digar fetch away over that because he was finance minister, Burnham was prime minister. Arthur Chung, I think at the time, was your president. And Burnham did not like nobody question it because Mr. Qasim spent over $1 million to build that piece of road when Digar said it should have been half the amount, a quarter. Burnham said no man asks any question, and with that and other instances, Digar was forced to resign, and he put a man named Mr. Singh. Finland Singh, who go with the party from 7 seats to 4, from 4 to 2, and drink himself through to parliament. Everything was yes, whether he was present or not, because 90% of the time he was drunk. And as everybody know, the PNC was the dominant force. The military was made up of 99.9% all blacks. Police, civil servant was the same thing, and many other civil servant jobs. Indian was treated unfairly in a country where they born and grow. Portuguese also was treated unfairly, but they were the fighters. They didn't give up. Chinese run away. A lot of wrong things happened during that period of time. So ask your black brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers and grandparents before they depart from this earth. They must tell you the truth. I can name some of the hotspots. Let me give you the black people hotspot first, where they used to beat the Coolie people and create. They have a Buxton, Agricola, MacDoom Village, Dartmouth on Essequibo, Stoutville, some part in West Berbice that I can't really recall, and a lot of other little package area. And let me give you the hotspot for the Indian during that period. Horstelling on the east bank, Demerara. Number 1 and number 2 canal. Not forgetting Lenora. And on the east coast, and more Success and all those places hotspot and up in Berbice. A lot of Indians suffer and a lot of blacks suffer because of foolishness and ignorance. Because when blacks heard what happening in Georgetown, with the looting and the burning and the killing, things went out of hand. So let your politicians them tell you what they've done in order to succeed to get power. And I know they don't want to tell you the truth, because if they tell you the truth, you will go against them. But what I have to accept you, the black people, for, the late Walter Rodney was not an Indian man. He wasn't a Chinese. He was also black like you. Uini, Dublin, Corinne D'Souza, Bonita Harris, Andaya, and many, many more. Omawali. They were not white people, Portuguese people, Chinese women, they were black. Stand up against Bonham and his resistance. And they lost, some of them lost their life. Walter died in a car bombing. Winnie was killed in the back road. And Dublin was also killed up in Mackenzie, what is today Linden. So know your history. But on my East Indian side of my East Indian brothers, them refused to challenge Dr. Jagan when he was wrong. His own son, Joey Jagan, challenged him, even formed a party to go against his own father and mother. But East Indian, Hindu East Indian, support the name Jagan. They didn't support a country and a policy. They didn't even know the meaning of communism or imperialism. And yet, they condemned the Portuguese man. Get it clear, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Guyanese. De Geer was the only one that bring about peace in Guyana by uniting with the PNC and form a coalition government. That is one. De Geer was the only one turn his corporation, DIH, into shareholders that Indian and black can get a share into his business. What did Bonner give y'all? Starvation, empty shelf, no jobs, closed down the bauxite company in Mackenzie, and on Reynolds on the East Coast, messed up with the train station. The PNC should be given an award every year for destruction. And I'm not hiding it. David Granger is your leader now, as APNU leader. But whenever you're done, a snake is a snake, a dog is a dog, and a crocodile is a crocodile. Take the mask off. Ask him when he was in the military if he was not aware of rigging of election. The PPP leader, Dr. Chedi Jagan, wife, the late, used to write a book or a paper called Thunder, had the GDF front page. In census of cases, the police must guard the ballot box or the military, but not to fetch it on your shoulder and help rig election. Plenty of rigging pass. And that is why we are suffering today. A country with less than 700,000 people with a resources so large that we don't even know what we have. It is time for you two people to wake up and stop going on over this nonsense and hold these politicians accountable. None of them is your friends and family. Under the PPP government, yes, we have seen a lot of things return. Thanks to Desmond Height, that make it return. Thanks to Mr. Mansour, even though he's a hypocrite, thanks to him in 92, give Dr. Jagan party 3 seats so they could have had their balance in power. Or they would have still been in opposition until now. But same way the United Force unite with the PNC and put them in power in a coalition and been blamed, still you Indian or Coolie as we call you, sorry to use it but that's your language, do not praise Mr. Mansour, which is the UF again, to bring Jagan into power and balance the equator. So black get power from the UF, Indian get power from the UF. We use Portuguese and Indian to do it. Now the PNC had all blacks in the top grade and Bonham had 3, 4 vice president. What a foolishness to hear. These guys was selling their soul for nothing. Make the PPP still make a black man the prime minister and president at times when they're out of the country. At least they're trying something to be inhuman and something to be democratically, whether they mean it or not. But did the PNC do that? Well, I'm telling you here today, in order to stop this nonsense, if they don't want the PPP in power, we don't need the PNC, whether it's APNU or whatever they call it. I think the next leaders must come from the young generation, save Guyana, put the nation forward, check out the racial discrimination and put an end to it. Africa don't need you, the black man, or India don't need you, the Indian. The only body find an aunt there after so long, it was Barry Jadlio. What a joke. He's the only man who married a woman and later says he didn't marry her, so there was no proof of birth certificate. Check of it. This is what you want for your country? A man who's your leader lied that he married and didn't do it? In old Roman days, he would have stoned to death or faced the guillotine. And that woman today marry a man, and if she know that that was a crime she committed, if it was, then she should be brought under trial for that. But I don't know, but they all have their time, because I believe in the coming of something greater than them. So my friends, wake up and know the truth, know your history. You Indian and black must not fight each other. Shake hands, unite together. It wasn't black people from Guyana create the problem, it was Highlanders. And of course Guyanese blacks see fire burning and they loot. I myself would have looted if I was young enough and had the understanding and stand up there, but I would have been looting next to the pawn shop or the bank. I wouldn't be carrying shoes and clothes what couldn't fit me. And you can't blame people for that. Before it burned, why not make the best out of it? So think of it. It was a mistake from both parties. That's the most I can tell you at this present moment. Okay? That's the most I can tell you.